My dear friends, we are in chapter 41, verse 11. And so it says that, continuing along with the reading, that Pharaoh is saying that the Sarah Mashkim is telling Pharaoh, I have somebody to come interpret your dream, because I was there in prison with Sarah Fim, with the baker, and we had a dream on one night. Anivu, I and him, ish kefitron chalamo chalamnu. And we each interpreted the dream. He gave each of us an interpretation of our dream. Each kefitron chalamo chalamnu. Each one he interpreted according to his dream. Rashi tells us, chalom hara'oi lepitron sheniftar lanu v'domelo. He each gave us each a dream that was fit for the interpretation that was appropriate for us, vidomelo, and it resembled the interpretation. So, meaning to say, he gave us a good explanation. Vishamitanu, and there was with us. So let's read this pasuk again. So we had a dream on that night, I and the baker, and each person each according to the interpretation of his dreams. Meaning to say, we want to see what this Rashi means. A dream that was appropriate with pitaron sheniftar lanu v'domelo. A dream that was appropriate for the interpretation that was interpreted for us and resembled the interpretation. So some say it means that each one was going to dream the interpretation of the other dream. The Rashi is a little ambiguous here. Okay. Mishamitanu, and there was with us a Nar Ivri, Eved, with Sarah Tabachim. So this Sarah Mashkim, he's not a good guy. Look how he talks about Joseph. He says he was a Nar Ivri. Rashi is going to make this point. Eved, he was a slave to the Sarah Tabachim. He was a slave for the butcher, the minister of the butchery. And we told him the dream, and he translated for us each one according to his dream that he give us. Rashi says, "Vishamitanu, there was with us a Hebrew slave, Nar Eved Ivri." Rashi is powerful here. He says, "Arurim harashayim, these wicked ones are cursed. She'ein tova sam shlema. Even when they do something good, they don't do a complete job." Maskiro b'lashon bizayon. He mentions him in a disparaging manner. Nar, he's a youth. Shota, a fool. Ve'ein ra'oi l'dula, he's not appropriate for greatness. Ivri, he's a Hebrew. Afilu shonenu eino makir, he doesn't even know our language. Eved, he's a slave. And it's written in the laws of Egypt that a slave can't be the ruler. And he's not allowed to wear the princely garment. So basically, this guy is nothing. He's a nar, he's a fool, he's a Eved, he's an Ivri, doesn't speak our language, he's an Eved, he's not really appropriate to be in the palace. You had a question, Seth? Okay.
They mentioned Nar earlier. That was another Rashi that we did when he was Nar. He was brothers because he actually.
It's a good point.
So it's interesting that this time they refer in the same way, but it's not.
Right. So earlier he says he was a Nar, and Rashi says he acted like a Nar. And here Rashi says goes in a different direction, and he says that it was a sign of the wickedness of the Sarah Mashkim that he refers to him as a fool. So you're right. The Torah called him a nar, so he didn't necessarily do anything bad. Ish kachalamo lefia chalom v'karov inyano, and he gave us the interpretation, each one according to the dream, and the karov inyano, and close to its content. Okay. Vayhi kasher patar lanu, and it was when he interpreted it for us, Kenayah, just like he interpreted it for us, it was Oti Shiva Kani, me he restored to my post, Voto Tawa, and him he hanged. So when he says Shiva Kani, That's a oh, wait, I think, hold on 1 second. Oh, do me a favor. Who wants to be the one? Hold on. In honor of Hanukkah, we just have a package waiting for us outside our front of the, yeah, you bring it in, it'll be perfect. So it doesn't get ruined. We'll wait for you.
It's fine, just keep going.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, so it says, so who is this person who restored me to my post? It's Paro on this Karamala. It's Paro who is mentioned above. As it states, Paro katsafo abadav. Paro had become incensed. So, Hare Mikra Lashon Katsar Lashon Vopirish Misha Yeshiv. Basically, the text didn't specify exactly who did it. Because it doesn't need to specify who restored it. It's obvious it was Paro. Okay, fine. We'll skip that Rashi. Okay. So now the next pasuk states, chapter. Oh, Steve, we have the Chumashim here on the table, Steve. Perfect. Happy Hanukkah. So it states. Vayishlach Paro, Vayikras Yosef. We're in chapter
Page 223.
223. He's got one there. Vayishlach Paro, Vayikras Yosef. Paro sent and he called Joseph. Vayirutzu min abor, and he lifted him out of the pit. Vayigalech vayachalef simosav, and he gave him a shave, and he changed his clothes. Vayavo al Paro, and he came to Pharaoh. Look at this miraculous turn of events. In 1 second, Joseph is lifted up from the pit that he was thrown into. When he was thrown into the pit, they tore off his jacket. Here they put his jacket back on, and he's brought to Pharaoh. Prior to this, he was brought to the merchants to be sold as a slave. Now he's being brought to Pharaoh. Why does it have to mention he got a haircut?
A shave.
What? A shave. Why does it have to mention that? So Rashi says, Min abor min beit hasoar, from the prison. Shu asoy min guma. The prison was made like a hole in the ground. Think kol bor mikra. Lashon guma means a ditch. Even if there's no water in it, karoi bor. In French, it's fosse. Fosse. Okay? Vayigalach, and he shaved, mikvoda malchus, out of respect for the royalty.
And somebody asks, why did he shave on Rosh Hashanah? But it was Pikuach Nefesh. You're not allowed to come to the king.
The Gemara discusses that. The Gemara discusses that it was Rosh Hashanah. So he didn't shave directly. They shaved him. So basically, he wasn't doing the shave. They were shaving him.
But even if he was, it's Pikuach Nefesh.
Is it Pikuach Nefesh? Would Joseph would Pharaoh have killed him?
If you came unkempt to the king,
Probably. Well, okay.
There is one singular example. It was Peter the Great.
Peter the
Started
Great?
to modernize Russia. If you had a beard, they would kill you.
Oh,
They
really?
made beards, they outlawed them because they
Okay,
they don't look
so now
civilized.
you're saying that,
Liberated from prison and Colorado,
yeah, my father's saying if you get liberated from prison in Chol Moed, even though generally speaking on Chol Moed, you can't take a haircut, but if you're, one of the reasons is if you get out of prison. But that's on Chol Moed, not on Yontif. But I think it was the second day of Yontif you took the haircut. The Gemara Rosh Hashanah discusses this. The Gemara Rosh Hashanah discusses this, things that happened in Rosh Hashanah. We'd have to check that Gemara. Okay, so the next verse states, Vayomer Paro Yosef, Chalom chalamti upoteri noso, v'ni shamati alecho emor tishma chalom of Doroto. So Paro said to Joseph, I had a dream. I have no solution. I heard about you that they say that you can hear a dream and give a solution. Rashi said, Tishma chalom, you'll hear a dream and you'll give a solution. Tazin v'tavin chalom. You listen and understand the dream. With Doroto, to interpret it. Tishma rashon havana. Hear means you understand. Hazana is listening. Like Shomea Yosef. Asher lo tishma l'shono. He hears. Rashi says in Old French, entendres. In Old French, entendre, double like entendre, to understand. So, okay, so Joseph says, Vayan Yosef et Paro. And Joseph says to Paro, saying, Biladai Elokim Yaneh Shalom Paro. He says, Biladai, it's beyond me. God will answer the dream of Paro. Basically, he's saying, I take no credit. The wisdom is not mine. Elokim Yaneh. God will answer it. Yitain on a yabafi. God will put a response in my mouth. L'shlom Paro, for Paro's welfare. Very nice. Vayidaber Paro Yosef Pachalomi Hineni Omer al Tzfas Hayor. And Paro says to Joseph, behold, in my dream, behold, I was standing on the Tzfas Hayor, on the banks of the river. Rename min Hayor, from the banks of the river, they were going up, Sheva Paros, they were going up 7 cows, Brios Basar, very healthy looking, Vifos Toar, very nice looking, Vaterana Ba'achu, and they were grazing in the swamp. Sheva Paros Acheros Ovos, and there were 7 other cows that came up after them, Dalos, Viraos, Toar, they were weak and bad looking, Ma'od, very. Virakos basar, very thin flesh. I never saw anything this bad in all of Egypt. This, by the way, is an addition. This was not said by Pharaoh. This was not said in the initial dream. Pharaoh was, let's say, exaggerating. Let's see what Rashi says. Darus kechushos, haggard. Kamo maduata kachadal. The Amnon, like it says in the passage about Amnon. Oh, we just read that. And the 7 thin cows and the bad cows, they ate the 7 Sheva Parosa Rishonos Habrios, the 7 first cows, the good cows. And they came inside them. We didn't know that they came into them because of Maray and Rak the cows remained the same. And I woke up. And I looked at my dream again. There were 7 stalks. They were each 7 ears sprouting on one stalk. How many ears usually sprout on one stalk?
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Corn.
Well, they didn't have corn. They didn't have American corn. They had wheat.
They did have corn.
I thought the American corn was something that they discovered here. They had like wheat.
No,
The
yes.
Bible doesn't refer to corn.
In Roman architecture, you see corn cobs.
We'll ask your son. He's the expert. We'll ask your son. Because the Bible doesn't refer to American corn. The Bible refers to wheat and barley. I don't think so. Well, we'll see. We'll talk to your son. We're going to have to write him, Steve. You can get an appointment.
Yeah, you have to get in line.
Okay, so what happened there? Virakol pasar. Okay, so he says, and I saw that they were all going up. They were full and good. There were 7 stalks, tsunamos, that were withered.
We wouldn't talk about ears of grain. We're talking about ears of corn. That's, it's the common sense.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it was just 1 normally, and now there were 7, or typically there were 2 or 3. So that's
I'm just going with what it says.
when they say the 7 stalks, they say 7 years of grain. That's what they said.
Stalks was also does not apply to grain.
Why? It grows on a stalk, and
It's,
yeah,
I
7.
don't think of it as a stalk.
Well, they call it grain here. Sheva sheet balim tsunamos.
That's a good question. I'll talk to the scholar.
All right, there you go. Tsunamos means withered. Rashi says tsunami in Aramaic means a rock, a selah, harei hein ka'eit. It's like a piece of wood. Kli l'chluch, without moisture. V'kashot kasela, hard like a rock. Okay. B'nei sheva shibalim tsunamos. Dakosh tufos kadim tzomchos acharem. These thin stalks, beaten by the wind, were growing after them. Verse 24. Vativona shibalim dakot itsheva shibalim atavot. The weak stalks swallowed up the good stalks. Va'omar al tumim, and I said to the magicians, ve'ema gidli, and there was nobody who could explain it to me. That's what Pharaoh says. Vayomer Yosef al Paro, and Joseph says to Paro. So now Joseph speaks. He says, Chalom Paro echadu. Pharaoh's dream is one. Eis asher Elokim usehi gidli Pharaoh. That which God is doing, he has told to Pharaoh. So Joseph gives Pharaoh a holistic solution. He says it's all connected. Sheva paros atovos, the 7 good cows are Sheva shanim hena. They're 7 years. V'sheva shibalum atovos, Sheva shanim hena. The 7 good stalks are 7 years. Chalom echatu. It's one dream. Rashi says, Sheva shanim. 7 years, 7 years. Kulan inon ela sheva. They're all total of 7. V'asher nishna chalom pamayim. And the reason why the dream is said twice, davar mizuman, because the matter is ready. Like it says in the end, Valashinos hachalom. The reason why the dream is repeated is to tell us that it's going to happen quickly. B'sheva shanim atovos. By the 7 good years, it states he gidla Pharaoh. He told Pharaoh, because it was close. B'sheva shnei arav. By the 7 years of famine, it states heres Pharaoh. He shows Pharaoh. Davar muflag v'rachok. Because the matter was remote, it says lashon mar'eh, appears. Okay, verse 27. Sheva paros harakos Pharaohs, the 7 thin cows and the bad cows, haolos acharayim, that went up after them, were sheva shanim, in 7 years. The sheva shibulim harakos hashtufos kadim, and the 7 measly stalks, you sheva shnei rav. There'll be 7 years of famine. Hu hadavar asher dibarti al paro. This is the matter that I spoke to Pharaoh. Asher Elokim oseh, that which God does. Heres Paro. He's showing Pharaoh. 7 years are coming. Which I'm going to have 7 years of plenty. Vikamu sheva shnei rav, but then they will rise up 7 years of famine afterwards. Minishkach kol asava ve'aretz Mitzrayim, and all of the abundance will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. Vikila hara'av es haaretz, and the famine will destroy the land. Rashi says, Vinishkach kol asava, all the abundance will be forgotten. Hu pitron habuya. Rashi says this is what the swallowing means. Verse 31. The famine will be forgotten. When you have a famine, the abundance will be forgotten on account of the famine. The famine was so great, you're going to forget the years of plenty. You're going to forget the years of plenty. Verse 32. And the reason why this dream was said to Pharaoh twice, because the matter was correct from God, and God is quickly going to bring it about. By the way, I skipped a Rashi. You will not, the abundance will not be known. Rashi says, "Hu pitron v'ono da kivo al," and this is the explanation of it. Means doesn't know why you didn't see them anymore when the good years were swallowed up. You didn't see them anymore. Nachon means mizuman, it's ready. Now Joseph steps beyond interpretation and he starts giving him advice. He says, now let Pharaoh seek out an ish navom v'chacham, a wise and understanding man, v'shiteu al eretz Mitzrayim, and let him place him on top of Egypt. Verse, here we have a chumash here too. What page are we on? 225, 224. So, Yaseh Paro v'yafkei pikidim al aretz. Pharaoh should appoint overseers over the land. And he shall prepare the land of Egypt during the years of abundance. V'chimesh means prepare. Kitargamo vizares, he shall prepare. V'chem chamushim, they were armed. So they were armed.
Was he recommending himself?
No, he's not recommending himself, but he's giving him the solution. He's giving him the solution.
It's funny that he just happened. He wasn't asked for a solution.
He wasn't asked for a solution, but he's giving him a suggestion. But the thing is, the most ironic thing is, he's given the suggestion. You see the language is here that the Rashi quotes, V'chein chamushim, which was a reference to what the Jewish people did when they left Egypt. That he's also creating the bureaucracy which will be able to enslave the Jewish people. That's the ultimate irony here. So.
And everybody else.
What?
And everybody else, not just the Jewish people.
Yes, that's true. He enslaves all of the Egyptians.
Whole thing.
Yeah, and
Except
Everybody.
the priest.
except the Kohanim. Yeah,
Well,
and yeah, except you're right. Exactly. Verse 35. It's called and let these people gather up all the food in the good years, the good years that are coming, v'yitzru bar, and let them put it in a storage, tachas yad paro, under paro, ochel be'arim, you'll put food in the cities, v'shamaro, and they'll safeguard it. So some say, like some scholars argue, that Yosef had the technology to preserve the grain so it wouldn't spoil. Because the whole idea of saving the food you don't need for later is, but that's not rocket science, but he knew how to preserve it, prevent it from spoiling.
Keep the rats in.
Keep the liquid out.
Well, it wasn't, you're having famine, not any liquid.
Yeah. Well,
There's hardly any liquid in Egypt.
no, they had denial. Yeah,
It's flooding.
yeah. I don't know. Rashi says, Kol ochel, shem devaru. All ochel is a noun. Therefore, tamo ba'alef, the accent's on the aleph. Okay, we'll skip that. Rashi. Hello, Hugh. So now the next, Tachas Yad Paro, Bershuto Botrotav. So he says, put all the food under Paro's domain. So he's giving Pharaoh enormous power. He's creating the central government. No wonder Paro likes his suggestion.
Democrat.
He says he hired a consultant, and the consultant told him, what I need to do is I need to take all the food for myself. Of course, he's going to like Yosef. Yeah. What do you think?
You met these guys.
Yeah, sure. Verse 36. And this food will be with pikadon or aretz. This food will be a reserve for the land. L'sheva shnei hara, for the 7 years of the famine. Asher tiena ba'aretz Mitzrayim. That'll be in the land of Egypt. V'oti karei ta'aretz barav. I'm going to be helping you, protecting you, so the land will not be destroyed. Rashi says, Hatzavur, the food that is stored, Kishar Pikadon, will be like a deposit, Haganuz, which is stored away with Kiyum Aretz. It's for the country's self-good. And the matter was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, in the eyes of all of his slaves. Okay, so what does this mean? Verse 38. Vayomer Paro el Avadav. And Paro says to his servants, have we ever found such a man who has the Spirit of God within him? Have we ever found such a man who has the Spirit of God within him? So we never found such a man.
It's interesting, don't you think, because the Egyptians didn't believe in God?
Well, he says this, interesting.
I mean, I think that's an interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Rashi said, can we find him? If we go looking for somebody, could we find such a person? Meaning, here's our guy right here. All right, we'll stop here, my friends, and we'll do the mincha now. Following mincha,